welcome to Let's Get It, the Atheist Roundtable. Toss the mic, tell us what's good tonight. Yeah, get this man a goddamn cam so we can plan to crush tonight. It's murder. It was the case they gave him. Even Jesus couldn't save him. He believes he'll slay him. Murdershed Steve got these thieves on their fucking knees. Ask T Jump where the Murdershed be. Where the Murdershed be.
Chop it up.
Why you asking all these questions? What are you suggesting? Why am I second guessing? Then GSEB surgically removing these hypotheses. Yeah, and get out the way. Get out the way. This kid don't play. If you got a God, I'd call him. If you got a book, I'd hide him. Just Jeff. Question so hard, they'll punch you in the chest. So the best bet, invest in a bulletproof vest. Oz, Ozzy, kamikaze. Run the track back and attack what we lack. Stand back, I unpack the counter attack. And the comeback, the sad sack. They should've never said that. And faith is bullshit as a matter of fact.
Which faith is bullshit.
Man, we're going diving on a deep dive.
Which faith is bullshit.
Hey, somebody mute Oz.
Which faith is bullshit. Which faith is bullshit. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Atheist Roundtable. It's TART Live. I'm Oz, your host, and Murdershed Steve. What's going on, man?
How's it going, everybody?
So, did you make it? Through Halloween? All right, man.
Yeah. It was a pretty decent Halloween. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it to the Grumpy Old Cuss show, which was fantastic as usual, and it would have been nice to hop in there with him, but I had pressing issues that I had to deal with.
Well, it's okay. God Himself showed up for the episode, so
I saw that, and you know what? I always knew this about God. I knew that He would pander to His audience because He was slipping in and out of those Southern accents.
And did you catch the part about slavery where God couldn't even describe slavery? Like He couldn't even give a definition to slavery.
I did see a little of stumbling happening when that topic came up, but seems totally justifiable to me.
He couldn't he couldn't pronounce indentured. He did not know how to pronounce that. So, but no, Steve, we have an amazing night planned tonight. We're gonna have a great time, and we have two guests that we've been really excited to have on, and they are the hosts of Talk Heathen, Eric Murphy and Bianca. Eric and V, how are you guys? Sorry, how are you? I'm trying to get this right. Can you hear us, see us?
I don't think so.
Oh,
Yay!
there you guys are.
There you go.
I was like, did we lose everybody here? What happened?
It froze for a second there.
Oh, people could see us.
Oh, we
though.
were there. Okay.
Very cool. Well, it's a good thing we weren't doing anything embarrassing. Hey, everybody, how's it going?
You know what, Eric? I thought I almost saw your finger coming down for a second there, but I wasn't sure.
No. I was doing this thing.
Sure.
Hey,
I thought the devil had jumped in the interwebs again. I was getting concerned there for a second.
Oh my gosh.
well, hey, thank you for inviting us on. Damn, man, you put a lot of work into the intros. People have given Talk Heathen a hard time for having a long intro.
Pasta Mike is the man. He kills the intros. Absolutely. So thank you.
Yeah. Absolutely. It definitely looks like it took a long time to do. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he makes us look much better than we are. Let's say that.
That's what
I
an
say
intro's
we-
supposed to do.
You guys are
Hashtag
handsome
bring
enough.
back long intros.
Right.
For the record, I enjoy the your intro on your show. So
Yeah, thank you. It was a ton of fun to film. It was a shit ton of fun. Actually, we had Anthony Magnabosco come up to help us film, and it was a whole process. But man, it was a good time, and it was cheesy and just goofy, and I feel like it set the whole tone for Talk Heathen in a way that just, I don't know, we wanted it to be different from the outset, and that was definitely a good way to do it. So.
absolutely, yeah. Until you just said that, I forgot Anthony helped with that. That's awesome. So before we get into conversation, start asking some questions. Please, Eric V, tell us where do all the fine people watching, listening, where do they find you?
Yeah. Well, we are part of the Atheist community of Austin. I host 2 shows, Secular Sexuality on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central, and then Talk Heathen with this guy on Sundays at 1 p.m. Central.
And that's not the only place people can find us. People can find V on their new YouTube channel. It's still new. Yeah.
It's newish.
Yeah, it's called How to Skeptic, where you go as an androgynous cat cyborg that talks a lot about some really cool philosophical concepts.
Yep.
And then you can find my goofy ass on youtube.com/Eric D. Murphy, because they wouldn't let me take Eric Murphy, but that's fine. Where I've been doing a show called Murphy's Law, where we go back over calls to the various call-in shows and talk about it. You know, how did we do? Where could we do better? What can we learn from this? And just kind of wanting to be better hosts in that kind of format. And so it also gives me a good place to admit when I screwed up. So if there's something that was really, really bad, then I can hop in and be like, yeah, okay, gotta own it.
Yeah, I've had to do that a couple times.
Yeah.
Well, I think I might know a troll or something like that that could probably learn from that channel a thing or two.
Oh, yeah?
A certain troll that we all know, yes, that takes calls.
Oh.
So
That's all I got. So Jeffrey Troll, you know, one of the people that is a part of the TART family here, has started doing a call-in show where he will talk to theists or people who have, you know how that kind of format goes.
Oh,
You've probably heard of it
Sounds
before,
familiar, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, he does something similar to that, and I'm just saying, maybe I'll send him a little wink and say you should probably check out Murphy's Law real quick.
It's a ton of fun, and it's definitely a good way to kind of go back and make sure that you're doing the best that you can and putting out the best product that you can. I'm sure you guys know exactly how that is. You know, you want to continue to provide something valuable to the community, and it's not just about getting your voice out there. It's also about being interesting. You know, I mean, you know, people are giving you their time, and so you want to make sure that their time is respected and you're bringing your A game. So it's definitely been a good tool.
Yeah, and I think it's awesome that happens. There was an episode a couple weeks ago that I watched, and there was a mishap or I guess something that was said wrong or handled wrong on Talk Heathen. You guys, it was either the same day or the next day went on there and discussed it, and I was like, hell yeah, that's awesome. You know, that you would do that and take the responsibility and say, no, we have to go and talk to our listeners and viewers and correct it. I think that's amazing. So awesome.
Yeah. That was same day. We talked about it for like 5 hours, and then we were like, all right, we're gonna put something out.
There was a rape apologist, or at least that's what was coming across, and that's what was communicated. And V just got it and was just like, fuck this guy. Can I cuss on your show? I don't even know if I can. Is that
yeah?
Okay,
fuck
we were
yeah.
like, fuck this guy, and V was like, Eric, I'm done with him, and it just went over my head, and so I was like, oh yeah, no, let's continue talking, and then afterwards, probably about halfway through the second call, I'm sitting there like, oh no. And so, yeah, getting the chance to come out and be like, hey, yeah, I screwed up, and want to do right by you, want to do right by the viewer. So,
Yeah, it also gave us a good opportunity to talk about kind of the mechanics of behind the scenes, who hangs up when, how we communicate with each other while on screen, on live air. Like we've got like a little notebook that we bring with us so we can like scribble like, I'm done, let's hang up, or, I want to go next or whatever. Yep. So.
And I think V on that particular episode, I remember you brought up that who was and who wasn't able to hang up on a caller or end the call.
Yeah.
So I was entirely under the impression that it was like, we have equal opportunity. If any time V wanted to hang up on somebody, that you absolutely could, and I would respect it. But V just doesn't want to do that. But no, V didn't think that they could, and I felt terrible. I felt like
that conversation should have happened probably like a year ago. I mean, honestly, it might have, and it was at a time when I was still like one of the rotating co-hosts, and so I didn't quite internalize like, oh, this is going to be my responsibility. But refresh is good. Is good.
Definitely. And I don't know how raunchy do you get on this show? Because I've got notes from one of the original notebooks that I started writing in for Talk Heathen at the very, very beginning, and I've got some original notes between Jamie and I that I can show you if you want.
I mean, we're a no holds barred kind of show. So
okay.
Yeah, we're always talking deep dives. Actually, a pastor came on talking quite a bit about necrophilia the other day, so that was fun.
A pastor.
A youth pastor, as if you
talking about necrophilia.
Oh yeah, trying to find
Jesus.
ways. Hey, yeah. Oh God, what do you think, B? You think it's too much?
I think that's just the right amount. Honestly,
you think that's just the right? Okay, that's fair. So. If you watch the early episodes of Talk Heathen, Jamie and I would write notes to each other. It'd be very, very. We'd be listening in, and okay, absolutely, and. We'd just be writing it down and then passing the notes to each other, and people would watch and be like, "Wow, these guys, they're really communicating. This is something that's really intense. We like the way they're holding it together." And I will have you know, the vast majority of the time, we were drawing dicks. And most of the time, I was just trying to get Jamie to laugh. And so he would be halfway through some really, really intense point, and I'd just be drawing this triumphant, veiny, creation, just to crack him up. And that yeah, I've got quite a few doodles in here.
Going in some
I can imagine.
somewhere at some point.
At some point, I might auction it or something.
Yeah.
It's history.
So it would be like, so let me explain to you why slavery is immoral. The foreskin, damn it! Right.
And then that wound up getting replaced with something a little more like this. And there are no penises in this one, but
there are no dicks in the Book of Eric.
No, I was about to say, did I just see the Book of Eric? Did that make it onto the round table?
You know what? I have a question for you.
What's up?
Is the Book of Eric actually available for purchase?
That is an interesting story. So there are people who really want to buy a Book of Eric, and I was like, hey, I've got a book lined out. It is not written, and it's been on the back burner for a long time, but I do actually know what I want to write. But people were like, can I just get a journal that says the Book of Eric, something nice that I can put out on the coffee table just to hold up a Book of Eric too? And I was like, I don't know if I feel comfortable charging people for that. And when they kept pushing, I looked, and I really haven't yet found a good online marketplace that sells something of high quality that I would feel comfortable putting that graphic on. But if that time comes, then yeah, I can sell Books of Eric until I write it, and then I can sell the Book of Eric. So yeah.
I would certainly like one, because people are not really buying the spaghetti monster stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I mean, Dude, I just that circular reasoning shirt is badass.
I know. I'm kind of in love with that.
The heathen hat. Like, there's some good shit out there, man. You just gotta look. I got an Atheist Inner Circle shirt. I should have worn that.
You should have worn the Atheist Inner Circle.
That's right. That secretive atheist inner circle that we're all wondering about.
Yeah, well, I mean, do you know Becky? See, they don't know Becky.
Don't say it out loud. there are Christians that watch this show.
It's the secret handshake, man. I mean, I agree with you. We definitely need more. But I mean, this is such a growing movement. It's interesting. I was going back through like really old archives. I mean, 15, 17 years ago, old atheist experience stuff before it was even on YouTube, when they were just recording it
Dude, the very first, the premiere episode, quote unquote, from 97 is the cheesiest, like, it's ancient, but it's amazing to look at.
But I was recently watching an episode where they had this guy on, and he was like doing the touring circuit. And what he would do is he would go to a Christian bookstore and just pull out things that he looked silly. And was like, hey, look at this, bumper sticker. It's hilarious. And everybody was like, oh my God, that's great. And I thought, you know what? As content creators, we've gone a long way. Like, could you imagine, just going and buying stuff from a Christian bookstore and that being what got you on the speaking circuit? Like, it's gotten better. We've upped our game. We're pushing each other to do better. So I can dig that.
Well, I gotta say, if it wasn't for you guys and the atheist experience, I would not be here today. That's for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. I wouldn't
And
either.
I say guys, I'm from Minnesota, so.
Guys is good.
Guys is fine.
Yeah.
Aw. Hey. That's really nice. Thank you.
Well, I'm sure you hear it all the time, but.
It's really sweet.
So before we jump into the questions here with Talk Heathen, I just wanted to point out, I let Eric and V know backstage that I did kind of put my wardrobe together tonight for tonight specifically in the heathen hat. And then I know V loves to point out circular reasoning. I hear that a lot on the show. So I wore our shirt that it's just so happens you can find it in our shop at TART.live.
There you go.
There you go.
Circular reasoning works because circular reasoning works. And you just keep going. It's the shirt that never ends. So let's get into some questions, guys.
But just so people know, for your merchandise needs, that's TART.live, TART.live to get your merch. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. Plug away, Eric. Plug away.
Absolutely.
All right. So the one thing I know, listening to the episodes where I've listened to Eric and V and their deconversion and deconstruction process, we do share some similarities there. So would you both briefly just kind of walk everybody through what that looked like for you individually?
Yeah.
Sure.
So I grew up very evangelical, conservative Christian, oldest of 6 kids, super homeschooled, super sheltered, and I went to a Christian university for undergrad, and I was getting a journalism degree because I liked writing and I wanted to do something that would pay me, and an English degree doesn't do that. So I'm pursuing my journalism degree and concurrently expected to go to certain classes about theology and Bible history and all of that, because it is a Christian school. And so on the one hand, I'm learning things like skeptical thinking, asking for sources, being non-biased, doing research, primary documents versus secondary documents, all of this stuff that would be very applicable to the things that I was learning in my Bible history and theology courses. But that kind of questioning wasn't allowed there. And so what would get me an A in certain classes would get me kind of nasty looks in other classes. And that was kind of the first little like, oh, something's different here, something's going on. So I kind of followed that. I had what I like to call a deconversion experience in London when I was studying abroad. And that kind of started the process for real. And by the time I was in grad school, I kind of, stopped going to church, stopped really referring to myself as a Christian, but was pursuing things like paganism, Wiccan beliefs, panpsychism, and the whole universe is God type thing. And then I found the ACA. I found Seth Andrews was the very first YouTube atheist that I saw.
Ooh, that voice.
I devoured his stuff, and I found him at a time where he was still very snarky and like coming out of it himself. And so like it was just scratching that itch of like, I feel yucky that this is like what I was forced to go through and deal with. And so as I started falling down that rabbit hole, I realized, okay, well, all of the last bits and pieces that were clinging on kind of fell away, and I called myself an atheist. I came out in a blog post back in, I think, 2017, and I published it and kind of like held my breath. And it turns out so many of my fellow Christian undergrad people that I went to school with messaged me privately and was like, oh my God, I thought I was the only one. I was going through the same exact thing and didn't have anybody to talk to, and I feel so seen, and thank you for speaking out. So that kind of was the jump start into realizing that maybe this is something that needed a voice, and maybe I was somebody who could give it one.
Holy shit. Yes to all that. And we just had Seth on, was it 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and I could say the same thing. Seth was one of the first atheist voices that I encountered. He and Matt, and it rocked my world, so to speak.
Sure.
And started to change my whole perspective of everything. And literally, the first one I told him when we were live, what I heard was Christianity makes me talk like an idiot.
Yeah.
And
the first
that's
one for
the
me was the satanic panic one, because I grew up in that mindset because my parents kind of got super reclusive during the 80s and never got out of that phase. So I was like, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. This is something that other people experienced. How weird.
V, did your parents also read the book that my parents read? What is it? Something in the toy box. I can't remember what the title of it is. Torment in the toy box or something like that.
Not in our vicinity, at least. We were very much don't speak of evil things, don't think of evil things, or evil things will come to you. So whatever is good, whatever is holy, blah, 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 that kind of thing. So lots of focus on the family because that's good and holy, right?
Right. Awesome. Yeah, there's a lot to unlock and talk about there. Before we do, Eric, how about you? What was your experience?
Well, so my parents were divorced, and so I kind of had a two-pronged childhood. And really, it was my birth mom and my stepfather who were insanely religious. It kind of, I don't know, I think it was good because I got away from it at times to see kind of how the other half lives. But when you are really, really heavily in it, when you're there, it gets you, when you're doing Bible studies or youth group or, different sports, all of the time, it just wraps you in. And so, I was a Bible believing Christian kid. Scared of hell when the year 2000 came. I was on my knees in the pews, crying, praying, thinking that we were all going to get voiped up to heaven. But right around the end of high school, I started kind of finding my way out, and I didn't think that there was no God. I did not become an atheist at all. I thought that I was broken. that there must be something wrong with me because this is working for everybody else. And so I started looking outside of my church, and that wasn't working. And so then I went into Eastern religions and then studied a lot of, I think the Tao was my favorite. And then
Interesting.
that didn't work out,
So we could have been like super wooey, like
Yeah.
pagan people.
Yeah.
So, like,
Well,
that would have been funny.
I mean, the interesting thing is, the person who was a mentor for me in the Tao, they were like, "Hey, take this as a way to treat people, and don't necessarily expect that you're going to find these supernatural things." And I was like, "But I'm here for God. I'm looking for
Right,
God."
right, yeah.
And
It's good when you get rid of that, though, because I did a whole stream with Rudy B, Ex-Cult Baby, about secular witchcraft, because once you get rid of the idea that you can find supernatural things in some of these rituals and religions, you can find other things that actually really help.
Yeah, no, I did not go down that path at all.
No.
I was just like, okay, nope, this one's not what I'm, because I was looking for God, and then I had a friend who was getting really, really, really into shamanistic stuff, going to the sweat lodge and trying different mind altering drugs, and I was like, well, maybe God is, I wonder, maybe God's a woman. I wonder what she, and all of a sudden I was moving out of those kinds of concepts, and then I thought, okay, well, I just want to kind of get into touch with this collective unconscious, because everywhere I looked, all of these different religions, I would, I would start to ask these questions like, what is faith? How come I can't? How do I get faith? I would tell people, you have faith. I'm jealous. I don't know why I can't have faith. There's something wrong with me, but you do. And for some reason, that is like your antenna to God, and I don't have it. And I messed around with drugs, and it was fun. I'm not saying don't do drugs. I'm saying that if you do, be responsible. That's all it is. Respect the drug. But that said, I didn't get in touch with the collective unconscious. Yeah, sure. I communed with my ceiling fan once, and that was amazing. I astral projected, and thought I was flying, but I was fucking around with my brain chemistry. And so eventually I just kind of started moving my way back around. I actually got back to Judaism. I had a friend who was going to school at UCLA, and he was in the Jewish fraternity at the time. And I would spend a good amount of time there, and I got into a discussion with a rabbi, and I was just so fucking fed up with it at that point that I was like, but what about this? What about this? What about this? And he said, well, if you don't believe, just don't believe. And I was like, that's an option?
That's an option?
What?
We can do that?
Yeah. And so I kind of dove into being an atheist kind of for a while. I didn't care. I was just like, I just need to find my own life. And the rest of the story is kind of getting into the ACA. But as far as deconversions, I think that's probably the...
Awesome. Awesome. Well, the story of the night, everyone, is do drugs but don't do drugs. Or do drugs but don't let the drugs do you. Maybe that's...
Have a sitter.
You're just trying to get the video demonetized as fast as possible.
If you're going to do something that's going to take you out of your own head, make sure somebody's watching you so you don't swallow your tongue. Like that's, or
there
jump out the window. Like if you got somebody sober watching you, you're probably, just respect it.
So,
don't do it at a rave.
Yeah, essentially.
And before we ask the last question along these lines, I want to make sure we all know who's on the screen right now. So we have just Jeff at the bottom here of the screen, and that's the troll that Steve was talking about earlier.
Got it.
Has the call-in show, and you can tell by the trolley face there. And then Ben G, he's our SE expert.
Oh, nice.
And
there he is.
Eric and V, before I lose this opportunity, I just wanted to say hello and welcome to the Atheist Roundtable. And then the round of applause that happens every time.
like
I
it.
just wanted to make sure we got that in there.
Doesn't Ben just look like he's Christian?
All right, so last question here, and we can dig in a little further, or we can go to the more lighthearted stuff that we talked about, backstage. The one thing that when I listen to Talk Heathen, or I hear Eric or V, even on other channels talk, they're very open in discussing mental health, especially in regards to leaving religion, leaving faith, or what I like to call escaping. That we're escaping that. Eric, V, what's some advice or maybe a tip or two that you would give anyone that is going through that process where they've already been through the questioning process? Now it's like, okay, how do I get out? How do I do this and still be mentally healthy and protect my mental health?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go to a therapist.
Yes.
Don't do it by yourself. There's no reason to. I know a lot of people, at least in the denominations and outlooks that I came from, had very bad preconceptions about therapy. We've seen that in the shows. There will be people who call in and list therapists as like on their list of bad unchristian people. It's really bad, and so I can understand why some people coming out of faith wouldn't be their first natural thought. Would be, oh, I need to go see a therapist, because there's still, you're going to be deconstructing a lot of this for a long time, but you really don't have to do this by yourself. This isn't something you need to figure out. There are people who specialize in this. Dr. Darrell Ray and some of his colleagues have been putting together something called CORT every year for the last couple of years. COVID kind of threw a wrench in this one, but it's the Conference on Religious Trauma, and it's specifically designed to get the concept of religious trauma and PTSD related to a religious indoctrinated upbringing on the table for secular therapists across the board. So that when you come to them and you're like, hey, there's I'm coming out of this pretty restrictive religious faith, and I'm having these flashbacks or these feelings of guilt or this depression or this anxiety, that is something they can work with you through. That's not something I had the benefit of doing. But looking back, if there was one thing that I could change, it would be that. Because there were lots of, like, the year that I was losing my faith, as I was, like, seeing it just kind of fade away like a dream in the morning time. It was rough. I was going through pretty bad depression. I had suicidal ideation. I got super anxious. Practically drove some friends away just because I was just constantly looking for that validation that I was still okay and I was still a good person. And that's always going to happen to some extent, I'd say. Like, there's always going to be some upheaval, especially if you were really deep in it. But you don't have to do that by yourself.
Absolutely. I'd like to tie in a little more on that. And that there's this weird idea that medication is somehow bad, or, I don't want to, hop on anti-anxiety or depression meds because I'll get addicted to them. It's like, would you say that to a diabetic? I don't want to take insulin. I might get addicted to it. Mm-hmm. What the hell is that? The way that we looked at mental health and the way that it was treated was something that you wouldn't do to your car. You take your car in to get treated when it's time, but you won't do that for your own brain. Is insane. And you really do need to work on it. You really do need to work on you. And please don't wait until your car is on fire to take it to the mechanic. Don't wait until your marriage is in shambles before you go see a couples therapist. Like you can work on that shit proactively. So I personally I suffer from clinical depression, generalized anxiety, and a couple other things, ADD and this and that. And I didn't get fully medicated. Let's see, I went on ADD medication my very first time at 30 years old. And it was like wearing glasses for the first time. I had no idea how fuzzy I had been seeing the world until I saw I mean, it's like life got flipped on easy mode when I realized that I could actually focus on something and I wasn't such a screw up. You know, when it comes to mental health, my go-to example is, and if you've seen me talk about this before, you'll probably know exactly where I'm going with this, is losing a leg, right? So if you lost a leg, you know, nobody's going to tell you, I wouldn't use a prosthetic limb if I were you. I don't want to get addicted to it. You know, and also, you know, when you're on medication, there are lots of other things that you just need to reprogram your brain about, you know, when it comes to thinking about it. Because if you lost your leg and you're using a prosthetic leg, it's not the same as a leg. Right. It helps. You know, and that's exactly how it is with medication. People think, you know, oh, wow, now I'm going to take medication. Everything's going to be better. No, but it will help. And that's the point. You know, but also at the same time, you are more than your disability. We all, you know, well, not all of us, but most of us have a disability of some kind. And
honestly, the ones that don't are the weird ones at this point. Like, it's like,
yeah,
you're perfectly healthy. You're weird.
Must be nice. but it's, you don't, if I had lost my leg, I'd still want to be Eric, not Eric, the guy with one leg. You know, I want to be known by more than just my illness. You know, we have so much to us. And when you're encountering people who are honest and open about their mental illness, what you should do is you should fucking celebrate them. Because they are more than the illness that they have. Because, I mean, dealing with depression does not mean that is all I have to offer the world. You know, but it's just... You know, celebrate each other and celebrate the fact that we are living in the best possible time, you know, of any time so far. You know, we have the ability to go and get medication for things that weren't always, you know, available. We have therapy that works, actual evidence-based therapy, and utilize it if you can.
Also, just to jump in here before we move on to another subject, expect that you are going to change drastically in some way. That could be, oh, I didn't realize I have a mental illness because I was told it was a spiritual thing, or because it just wasn't talked about. Oh, I didn't realize that I was gay or trans or something else because that wasn't an option. That wasn't something that was talked about. I don't realize that I have different political ideas than the rest of my family. Like, They're in a situation where you are being forced to only consume certain information and being starved of being exposed to the full spectrum of what is possible. Something about you is going to change once you get out of that. And that's not you rebelling. That's not you being stupid or trying to get attention. That's not you trying to escape who you were in the past. I mean, it might be, and in that case, you know, again, therapy. But don't let people just say just because you're different now, that's inherently a bad thing or inherently sparked by an emotional response to what you're going through. It could just be that you're tearing away all the layers and being like, oh, this is who I am underneath, and I get to explore this now freely without all the baggage that comes with a religious upbringing.
Yeah. And God damn it, if Eric and V didn't just drop bombs on y'all, I don't know. I don't know what needs to be right out of my said or done. And first and foremost, thank you for that. I don't know. Whether it was 3 minutes, 5 minutes, that could have been a half hour. It doesn't matter to me. That was brilliant. It was brilliant. No, and for somebody that has gone through everything that you guys just fucking described, and had to go through therapy and do all those things and still do it today, and had to seek medication just up to 3 or 4 years ago because I was always told, oh, you got to pray, you got to have faith, you got to pray, you got to have faith. Exactly.
I waited until the bus was on fire, down the street, exploding like speed style, before I even but I didn't know. I didn't know what anxiety was. Like,
Yeah,
I didn't know.
exactly.
I remember
Because like it makes so much sense. Like if you're living in a world that's going to end any day and you're going to go get beheaded by the one world government, of course you're going to be anxious. That's the normal thing to be.
Yeah.
Then you get out of that and you're like, oh wait, what am I doing with all of this anxiety that has nowhere to live now?
I remember having massive panic attacks as a 10-year-old over the idea of eternity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like I just could not handle the idea of eternity, and here I am. Like, as a 10-year-old, can't sleep at night, having, sweating in bed because I'm terrified of eternity in heaven. I just don't like the idea of eternity. I don't like it.
The concept is terrifying.
Yeah, it just doesn't. I grew up Catholic, so of course I was guilty about everything.
Right.
And it still happens today.
Okay. So tell me if you guys so generalized anxiety before recognizing that it's generalized anxiety. How many of you went, oh crap, this is the inner witness of the Holy Spirit. I'm masturbated, and now this is my punishment. I know,
No, I was petty. I was petty.
Really?
I remember being on the school bus as a kid, and getting off the school bus, I saw like a Game Boy game or something on one of the seats. Mm-hmm. I didn't say anything. I just got off the school bus, went home. Then had panic attacks because I did not seek the owner of that, that it was I basically stole it. And I'm going to go to hell for that because I did not do enough to find the owner of whatever that product was. And this is, of course it's irrational, but I'm an 8-year-old or 10-year-old or whatever age I was at that time. Yeah. And so, that builds some trauma.
Oh yeah, no, you can ask my mom. Like I as a kid, I went through cycles of just debilitating guilt over the smallest. I was like, can I stand this way? Did I walk too close to my sibling? Like the most weird, random, like OCD stuff, because I had nowhere to put all of this anxiety, and everything was translated straight into moral issues, right? Like it was never this is just how I'm feeling right now. Let's see if I can find a cause of it. It's you're feeling this way. That means something's wrong. That means that there's a moral issue here that's at stake.
Yeah, your godometer's going off.
Yeah,
and
right.
It's broadcasting the anxiety because
you talked about having an antenna to God. It's just get lightning strikes constantly. It's just like, what's happening?
I remember feeling this, having this feeling of guilt for every nice thing that I owned. And that I needed to, hey, there are homeless people on the street. Why is it that I get to have a Nintendo 64 and these people don't even have a TV or a roof over their head?
Dude, I'm 33. I have a YouTube. I'm on more than one YouTube channel. I still feel that shit.
Yeah.
Like I mean, when it comes to internalized, guilt and shame pressure, like it does not. Ooh, that's another one. It doesn't matter if you left. It can take a lifetime to get over the damage, the scarring, and relearning life, relearning sex, relearning, how not to feel shame about things. Holy crap, dude! I'm sorry, but you hit a chord because I still do that. I still, to this day, V could probably
actually. This explains a lot.
We're learning some tonight.
I do. I have a very, very. I have a painfully low self-esteem, and that comes from feeling like I don't deserve, and I don't. That nothing is. I haven't earned, and I'm not. Should not have anything nice or good in my life, and it follows you. So for those of you who are watching who are thinking, I've got to be the only one. I must have really screwed this up. I wish I could be like those guys. No, we're right there with you.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, it's and I believe it was V touched on this earlier too. When you're going through the exit or the escape process, you feel like you're alone. Like you feel like you're the only person that is leaving Christianity, right?
Yeah.
And I remember when I was, this is, our first conversation. My brother's still a pastor of a 700 or 800 member church. My mom is a music pastor for 20 plus years. So there was that, that expectation that I was supposed to be that, that I should be them. And when I was like trying to like tiptoe out, it was like, I'm leaving, and if you guys catch it, cool. If not, I'm cool with that too. And I felt like I was all alone, and all of a sudden I found this community, and it was like, holy shit, I'm not alone. I'm not the only person doing this right now. I'm not the only one that's walking through this. And that was one of the more liberating moments for me, where it's like, oh, okay, I'm not doing this on an island.
Yeah.
there are others.
Oh yeah, it's so important. And there's this whole the reason that I didn't get internet until I was 16, because religion. The reason that the internet and online communities are so vilified is because they give you that access, right? They give you the words for things. They give you the communities that think like you. And while it's never good to be in a bubble and only talk to people who think like you, it can be very liberating when you do think you're the only one. And, oh, there's a name for this. There's a community. There are people who feel exactly these things. There might even be diagnoses out there that I don't know about. It's validating, and it's important to the healing process.
Yeah.
And
what an important thing to do to be able to create a show like this, you know, or what we do on Talk Heathen and Secular Sexuality and in our own private shows, that I wish somebody would have sat there. Somebody would have said, hey, you're not alone. Mm-hmm. Wish so bad that I could go back in time and find Eric at that age and said, you're not alone.
Yeah.
The fact that we get to say that.
And that's where I'll let Ben talk, because this is where, as you know, the tattoos and all that. I do get emotional when talking about that, because I wish there was a different version of Oz or Austin that could go back and say, hey, just so you know, when you walk through this phase of life, you're not alone. There are other people that are right next to you and rooting for you and doing this. So I totally agree. Ben, what were you going to say? I'm sorry.
Well, my story is, I mean, I kind of grew up, I was taught, like, I was like, I had parents who taught me that there was a large gray area. Like, very few things are black and white. I grew up in a United Methodist church, and they taught me, like, look, a lot of truths are in the gray space. So, you know, it's up to you to kind of discover that truth. And it was very, very helpful to find shows like Talk Heathen, like the Atheist Experience. So, like, the ACA was a huge part of my growth, and that's why, to this day, I still kind of lament Magna Bosco's videos, because in 2013, 2014, when he was first posting that stuff, that was, like, right where I was. Those videos met me where I was, and it was a huge deal for me to have that material out there. So what you guys do, and now I get to feel like I'm giving back. So I get to listen to you guys every week, and I'm just like, keep it up. And I'm excited to be part of TART. I'm excited to have my own little things going on, but everything I can do to give back. It's kind of what helps give me meaning now.
Oh, I never understood the concept of missions or the calling or anything like that. I had friends who were like, I'm just called to be a pastor, or I'm called to service, and I'm just like, I don't fucking get it. I want to go right, but you know, being a part of this is like, oh, that's the feeling. Okay, cool.
Right.
It's our calling, right?
Yeah, right. For lack of a better term.
Yeah. In V, I think it's amazing you said that, because I had so many people prophesy. You know, because I come from a lineage of ministers, you know, uncles, grandpas, you know, all that. So many people prophesy that I was to be one. I remember one, the most far-fetched was like, you are the next Apostle Paul. You're going to go and you're going to start churches and birth churches and yada, yada, yada. You're going to do all these things, right? And the whole time I'm like, I'm not feeling it, bro. Like, I'm not feeling it. But as soon as I met Pastor Mike and Jesus Mike, you know, used to be with our show, and then, you know, just Jeff, we started doing this. Is like, just like what you just said. It's like, no, actually, this is where, if this is what the calling feels like,
right? Exactly.
This is the calling. Yeah. This is where I belong. So before I ask one question, kind of shift gears a little bit. The one thing that I want to say is Eric and V, thank you for being transparent. I always want to make sure anytime we do this, we're always grateful and thankful for people being transparent and sharing those things, because those are, for some people, they can't share those things. Those are very kind of off limits to them. So thank you for doing that. But I want to point out to all the viewers and listeners, if you go to tart.live, there is a click down box and it says TART Helps. And at TART Helps, there is a little chat bubble that you can click on the bottom right-hand corner of the website, really anywhere on the website, but especially there. I think it's bigger, or it's supposed to be bigger anyway. And you can click there. And the person or people that you talk to there, they're not professionals. They're just there so that you can talk. If you need to talk shit, you need to vent, you just need to say, I had a really shitty day and I just need to talk about it. They're there for that. There's also a link where if you need a secular, and I stress that, a secular therapist, we can get you in contact with an awesome secular therapist that we've developed a relationship with, and can do remote remote sessions no matter where you're at, and we'll get you hooked up with that person. So if you're in need of that, you want that, that's something, it's there, it's on the website, and we would love to be able to help assist any way we can. We love you, and thank you for being part of our channel. And if you haven't, make sure you're part of Talk Heathen and what Eric and V are doing, because I know they support this thing as well. So one last time, Eric and V, thank you for sharing all that. Appreciate it.
Obviously, thank you.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So we will we'll shift gears here and switch just a little bit, and then we'll get into Q&As. So for everybody that has a question for Eric, for V, for myself, for anybody that's part of the roundtable, start shooting those in now. And don't forget that the super chats are now activated. So you can super chat and get your questions up at the top. So you can put those up there.
I was thinking, I see some really good questions, but they're not connected to super chats, and so how are we going to see them? I mean, really, if people want their questions in, then they should be popping a little bit on the super chat, so we can. I mean, just help us, help you. Donate in the super chat.
Well, Eric, you just helped me to help you to help us. So.
Looking for a new and challenging opportunity? Do you have previous landscaping, mortuary, or medical experience? Are you available to work flexible hours, including nights and weekends? Are you ready to get involved in a business where you can simply make a killing? If you answered yes to these questions, then the Murdershed Steve Intern Program wants to hear from you. Registration for the 2021 season is now underway. Contact us today for an information package to get you started. Many valuable perks are available for those willing to reach out and grab them. Qualified participants must agree to have street epistemology applied to anything they say.
Well, hello, everybody. Don't forget to sign up for the Academy. So, little known fact about Murdershed Steve. I used to be a camera person for an indie film company. We had an actress that, she was a bit of a diva. Found out that her was going to be killed off at the end of the show, and so she left. But we did what we could. We, patched together something that would work, but it didn't quite come up to snuff. Anyhow, how's everybody doing?
We're great, Steve. Murdershed Steve. Hey, dude, what the fuck happened to your eye?
I didn't think that you noticed. Well, I had T jump over for the other night, actually on Halloween. And did you guys know that he used to...
So I got T jump over here for dinner. And it looks like he brought an axe of his own. But I happen to have an axe too. I wonder who's going to win this time, T jump.
So I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, but T jump actually used to be a boxer. So in any case, we went hungry that night. So I do have some questions for Eric and V. Did they leave?
I think they lost. I think they lost their connection.
Oh.
So are there any questions for God? I meant Benji in there.
Yeah. Hey, yeah. 2 nights ago was fun. That Halloween night. Did you catch that, Steve?
I did watch it after the fact. And I really appreciated how God really panders to his audience, dipping in and out of that Southern accent.
Yeah, I missed the entire show. God was speaking apparently to the audience through my channel. So, yeah, if you missed it, go back and check that out.
Where'd God go? Where'd God go? Where'd God go?
I think he said that he wrote it in his book. So we got to go check that out. I haven't read the whole thing yet, so I don't know. It's probably in there.
I just wanted to thank Simply Secular for that bit. That was something that Simply Secular did. Go ahead.
What? I'm trying to look for that isn't directed at V and Eric.
There we go. They're back.
Yo,
Here we go.
Back. Hey,
welcome
Hey.
back.
Absolutely. We did not realize things froze up. Sorry about that. There's something on our end here.
We felt like that was almost sufficient evidence to believe that you got scared by Murdershed Steve and ran away. But I'm glad to see.
So I'm not gonna say I wasn't slightly terrified by the eyes in the very intense eyes in the artwork, but no, we're good.
We're good.
Hey.
That's my happy face. So Sean Alexandre would like to know, when will there be a Talk Heathen kitty cat? Someone needs to complete with the crew cam kitty adorableness.
Well, I'm already the androgynous cat cyborg, so I think I count to compete with the crew cam kitty. But
I want a cat.
Eric wants a cat very badly, and I also want a cat, but
No pressure. While we're on a live stream.
there are.
He's gonna kill me.
You heard it first here at TART.live. You heard it here first. Eric and V get a
Kitty cat.
Someday.
Oh.
Someday it'll happen.
Okay.
Fine.
Just around the river bend.
Exactly.
Christian J. Watkins.
Christian! Hey! We've got amazing people in this chat, by the way. Just
That is
watching
true.
the quality of excellent people who are here. You've got like a really cool crew here, a really good, nice crowd that you built. I love this. Sorry. Go on. Hi, Christian.
Has there been times where they didn't feel up to doing TH that day, whether lack of motivation or otherwise? Heathen, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Not THC.
Yeah. That.
Absolutely.
Never mind.
So once.
Multiple times.
I have gone in with over 101 degree fever and done Talk Heathen. I have had I don't care if I'm dying, I'm gonna go. There was once where I needed to beg off, and I had a I was losing my fight with my depression for a little while, and there was one weekend that I needed somebody to step in, and they did. But other than that, in the 3 years since Talk Heathen has been going, it's my baby. I love it. It's something that I'm incredibly proud and happy about, and it's definitely something that fills me up. It makes me feel like I'm doing something good, and it's just, I don't know how to describe it.
There have been multiple times where I've just been like, this is the last thing I want to do right now. Like I just had a long night before, or, I'm feeling sick, or just super stressed. But the funny thing is, the second that I sit down and start, I'm there and I'm on, and I forget about whatever is going on that isn't Talk Heathen. So a lot of the way, in a big way, it's kind of almost meditative at this point. It's become such a valuable part of my routine that even if I don't feel up to it up until the point where the intro starts rolling, I hear the music and we do the cup song and we're good.
Oh, they don't know the cup song.
They don't know the cup song.
No, people who weren't at the building to watch us. We have rituals. There have always been rituals between co-hosts, and we have our pre-show ritual.
Yeah.
I want to hear it.
It will get you demonetized.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
Sounds like some of the hazing songs I learned in college.
no.
It's you know the Pitch Perfect, the cup song that what's her face says.
Yeah.
We do that, but both of us back and forth to Lips Are Movin' by Megan Trainor.
And before that, Jamie and I used to play Taylor Swift.
I
every
finally got them
episode.
away from Taylor Swift. I consider that a victory, personally.
But the cup song actually has a lot of really deep kind of significance
it's kind of poignant, honestly.
Yeah,
Like there's a lot there.
Well, I mean, we are talking about mental health.
That's fair.
Okay.
I mean,
That's fine. So raise your hand if you have depression. It's definitely something that a lot of us deal with, and existential angst and depression is something that is just a daily companion for me. And I found that one of the ways that I have gotten through it is I started doing the cup song. I wanted to, I didn't know how, and V taught me, which is wonderful.
he before we even got together, he was talking about doing the cup song and wanting to learn. And I was like, you know it? He's like, no. And I was like, I've done this my entire childhood. Let me teach you how to do this. And so there was a rough week there, and the cup song kind of got us through that.
It did. So if you look up the lyrics to the cup song, when I'm gone, you're gonna miss me when I'm gone. And so what I want to do, and I've done it a few times, and I know I need to do it more often, but what I'd like to do is semi-regularly film myself singing the cup song. And I think it's given me a handle on some of my existential angst, because I really like the idea that someday, many years from now, when I do die, that there will be hours that somebody gets to clip together of me getting older as you've gotten to know me, and my hair going gray, and saying goodbye. It's a way for me to.
God damn it, that's gonna fall to me, isn't it?
Even after I die, to tell the people who've gone on this journey with me that it's gonna be okay.
B said, "Fuck."
and so
it's always been a hypothetical other person, and then it just hit well, I'm okay.
I gotta say though, if I knew that A could include an unsolicited dick drawing, it'd be a good day.
It's I just happen to have the stuff here, so I mean it's worth sharing because it's fun and it's interesting, and people sometimes think it's way more serious than we have fun.
I have an old Pathfinder. Are you familiar with Pathfinder, like D&D?
Oh, bro, dude, I played so many games in Pathfinder. Yeah.
Okay, so drawing our map, and we came up with an area called Dick Rock.
Yes. Okay.
And
very,
it's like Easter Island.
I like it.
This volcano here also looks like something familiar. Let's see if I can find it. Anyway, yes.
That island that ate some spicy Cheetos.
There you go.
Oh, no.
I have got another question from Christian J. Watt before we get entirely demonetized.
Sure.
Are you both? I know it's. What are you gonna do? We gotta live. I'm a hard determinist. So there was no stopping this.
All Are both of you retributive justice where rehabilitation isn't available, or does the idea of... Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. You're doing a great job. I'm
Christian
proud of you.
J. Watkins asks, another question. Are you both for retributive justice where rehabilitation isn't available, or does the idea of retribution not square well for independent, non-pragmatic reasons? V?
I don't know why you always look at me when we have these kinds of conversations. We tend to be on opposite sides, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm entirely pragmatic and have no ideological steadfast holdings. And it turns out that this is one of them, honestly. Like, I don't see a need to indulge in retribution. It doesn't make sense. Just from multiple angles, it doesn't make sense. It is damaging to everyone involved, including the people who allegedly get justice. Like, it never helps them. The system that is doling out justice has no stake in the matter, and therefore that's problematic. It doesn't actually, have any substantial impact on diverting additional things going wrong, or people doing things that would require retribution. So overall, yes, from a pragmatic standpoint, it's not very useful. But yeah, from an ideological perspective, especially as somebody who doesn't necessarily believe that we have free will in the libertarian sense at all, I would prefer to let people go, or let them live in, solitary or in some kind of controlled way, if necessary, rather than indulge in maybe something that was felt good in the moment and felt right in the moment, but ultimately was punishing someone for something they couldn't control or had no hand in. So.
Yeah, I mean, are we defining retributive justice as capital punishment?
I'm assuming.
Okay. I honestly think that capital punishment is the easy way out. I don't think you go to hell after you die. So the longer, if we're wanting to or needing to keep someone out of society because their presence in that society is a danger to it.
Right, then you're being pragmatic. It's not retribution. It's being responsible.
Yeah, and also, I think you could make an argument that there is some retributive justice in it, in as much as
Well, in the same way
I don't
that
want them to stop existing.
Well, yeah. Well, altruism is ultimately selfish, and so there's no way to distance the action from the intention.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't let the intention guide you in this sense, I don't think.
Yeah, fair enough.
But do you think that maybe as kids, or at least a society thing, we're taught that if something bad happens to you, the other person's punished. You're going to see punishment. If my brother and I are doing something in the back of the car, and you get off on getting your brother in trouble and seeing him be punished for whatever happens, is that something that is human nature? Is this a society thing? What do you think about
I think it comes, I think honestly that stems from the kind of corporeal punishment that parents tend to have inflicted on their kids. If you're taught, if you do something wrong, I'm going to hit you and cause you pain, then of course that's going to be the way you internalize things, and that's going to be the way that you create your sense of justice.
Now wait a minute. I think I've heard that theory before. Wait a minute. Where did spoil the child, right? Maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Maybe learn how to treat their children from a certain book. I don't know.
Right? It's almost like there's a common denominator here.
So, I'm a school teacher, and right now there's this huge kind of I'm going to call it an experiment that's going on right now. It's called PBIS, Positive Behavior Incentive Systems. Instead of punishing the children and giving them things like removing them from school through suspensions and things like that, we're offering incentives to do the right thing. So you might earn points, and you might be able to redeem those points for, I don't know, taking off an assignment or getting a treat or candy from a concession stand. Of that kind. Mm-hmm. And so I'm interested in 3 or 4 years when all this data comes together. I'm interested in what these children who are going through the school system now how they come out and how they view things like justice and what kind of things that they take from it. I think it's an interesting idea. I do know that most of the teachers I work with absolutely hate it. We seem to have they feel like they have less control over the students than they normally would have. And so I don't know how that applies on a broader scale of like society, but that's a thing that's going on in the school systems here in Georgia right now.
That's actually really awesome to hear. And yeah, it's 10 times harder to sit down and reason with your kid, especially at an age where they do not reason by themselves, and you have to actually like take that and take that responsibility for them. It's a lot easier. It's a lot more cathartic to be like, I'm mad at this little person, so I'm gonna spank them or whatever. But yeah, it's not.
So what?
Yeah, right.
What grade do you teach?
I teach middle schoolers, and I've taught. So so I'm only 26. I've been teaching for like 3 years. I've taught 4 years old all the way up to 13, and actually I work with I teach the whole pre-K through 12. I've done.
Okay,
So,
I've done K through 5, but I would never do middle school, bro.
They're mean, man. They just like, they'll say something about my like hair, and I'll just be like, why?
No, they're it's terrible. I hated my own like puberty age. Why would you? Oh, people like you are the reason the world can keep going. Thank you.
They need more help than anyone, and so I don't know. Nope. I did K through 5. I was happy with K through 5, but well, that's good. That's good to hear. I didn't know that, Eric.
Yeah.
My sister was a middle school teacher as well. It's a tough age, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
I have got a question from GeoSam, and then I've got one or two more. If I think we might have to squeeze the time in, but GeoSam is wondering, as a Christian, what science did you reject, and what science did you embrace?
Oh. Well, my freshman year in high school, I remember my science teacher talking about evolution, and I proudly stood up from my desk and said to my teacher in front of the whole class, I don't believe in evolution. I believe in God. I had my God's not dead moment, including several other freshmen in my high school applauded me.
Oh, God.
And I look back at that. And are you feeling the cringe for me? Yeah, you are, aren't you? You're feeling the heat. Yes, I had my God.
I can think of some similar situations. You're not the only
I had
one.
my God's not dead moment, and I still, to this day, the only reason I'm able to deal with it is because I can pass it off on you to help me deal with the cringe and the shame of.
Oh God.
So I am what Oz would coin a cradle theist. Okay. Mm-hmm. And when I was in 9th grade biology class, they started talking about evolution. There was a kid in the class that said, Steve, you don't shit. Grew up with him in the block and everything. I said, actually, yeah, I accept evolution. I'm sure that must have been a more moment for him.
Yeah.
But...
What kind of came in and out there for a second?
I don't.
I quoted Ken Ham.
No.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I went to a non-denominational Christian high school.
Non-denominational.
And they showed us Ken Ham videos, and I didn't know who Ken Ham was at the time, but yeah, I quoted those videos.
Oh shit.
Ken Ham the scam.
Okay. What were so non-denominational for my church? We called ourselves non-denominational. We were born again Christians.
They were pretty much Southern Baptist.
Southern Baptist. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And then there were two Catholics, me and the Spanish teacher's kid.
Oh man.
That's it. So that was when I really was starting to get questioned. Like I never really questioned Catholicism before. Why would I? My entire family's Catholic. Yeah. And now I got these kids coming up to me going, "Oh, you pray to Mary. You pray to the saints. Like you believe in saints. That's this." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" You know, like. So I start looking it up. You know, I start looking things up, and I'm like, "This doesn't make any damn sense." Like some of this shit is like really messed up. So that was like the first, the roller coaster started going down from there.
Yeah, that's fair.
What about you? What science did you deny?
So, someone, I don't know if you guys know Adam the Atheist. He's a relatively new YouTuber as well. He was also homeschooled and grew up very Christian. He had an interview where whoever was interviewing him, I think it was Phil Ferguson, asked him, like, okay, what kind of science were you taught homeschooled? And Adam said the most amazing thing, and I realized that it was applicable to me too. We were taught the numbers, right? It was basically, my science was more math, because numbers were not concerning. Numbers would maybe even hopefully put you off of wanting to know more about science, because it was boring, because it was complicated, because it was safe. And so my biology, my chemistry, my physics, all of that, I learned them, but I only learned equations. And so there was no concept of like interesting like biology or any physics experiments, nothing that would cause me to be interested in it. In fact, I remember once I got donated a giant science kit with a microscope and like all of these like beakers, like all of this really cool stuff, and I got taken away right away for no reason other than do not let them like science because that's dangerous. So super creationist, young Earth, Adam and Eve, Noah's flood, whole shebang.
How young was that Earth? 6 to 10?
6,000 years old, yeah.
Super young.
Super young, the youngest Earth.
And this year you got to speak.
Yeah, that was fun. I got to give a talk at the virtual Ark Encounter protest this last year. And that was awesome and cathartic. And I essentially was talking about how creationism is abuse. And if you teach children this worldview and you restrict their education, I consider that to be abusive. And I forgot to tell my mom that I was doing this. And she found out about it, not through me. So that was an interesting conversation that ended up being about 2 weeks of just dead silence. Like, she was not talking to me for weeks. I was like, oh God. But,
I mean, it was a pretty badass speech, though.
I liked it. It flowed. I mean, I gotta let it out somehow. It's gotta be good for something, right? Like, can't be all bad.
Well, it's the most frustrating thing, because the whole idea of having a free and public school system is to properly educate people about the way the world works. What you're doing is restricting a portion of the population from that information.
Yeah.
And in fact, teaching the exact opposite of the understanding of the Western tradition. Like, that's where we are right now as a species.
Mm-hmm.
Is that we have an understanding of how evolution works, and if you're missing out on that, you're stunted. Like, you're not gonna have.
And you're probably not
chance.
going to let your kids learn about it either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the hope. The hope is that you just perpetuate it to the point where it's not even a question.
And there's so many amazing stories in science.
I know, like, I love it now, and I feel kind of bad that it's not something that I think I could have gotten into it. Like, I think that if that had been a path that had been open to me, like, I totally could have followed that down, whatever that looked like. But
and a lack of proper education dooms us to repeat history, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Just saying.
That's how that works.
So I've got one more question from Christian,
Sure.
and then I think we'll wrap up Q&A.
Okay.
Another question: a family member passed away recently whom I loved.
Oh,
Any
Christian,
quick
sorry to hear
tips? Any quick tips on not isolating yourself due to grief for too long, like I tend to do? And Christian, this is actually something that you and I can talk about as well. I'm in the same boat.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I'm so sorry for both of you guys.
That's real rough. And especially now, because we're already kind of isolated, and the way that we're, interacting with each other does feel a little bit less personal and a little bit more sterile, just because it's usually from behind a screen. So that is really, really hard.
Yeah. So having toxic masculinity is a bitch, isn't it? It is so difficult, at least I know for me, to cry. It is very, very, very hard. And it is very, very pushed to not show that you're hurting. If I have any advice, it is okay. It's okay to cry, and it's okay to hurt, and there's something that's going to happen, and that is that everything feels wrong, and everything feels like nothing's ever going to be the same. And the bullshit thing is we live in a society that's going to be understanding for your grief for about a week.
Yeah.
And then after about a week, everybody expects you to be over it, and you're sitting there holding the pieces going, wow, how do I move on? How do I keep going? And what I want to tell you is there is no set amount of time for healing. It can take years. And for a lot of people, especially the people who are close in your life, it's never going to stop hurting. You learn to keep moving, but that doesn't mean that the pain goes away. It might help influence parts of you that you know, and over time, you know, you'll find that point where, you know, someday you'll look back and you'll laugh about that memory that you had with that person that you loved, you know, and that you still love. I mean, just because they're dead doesn't mean the love goes away. You know, it's okay. And it's okay to process how you process. And if anybody, you know, if anybody gives you this, well, you should be over it by now, bullshit.
Yeah.
If anybody tries to influence, you know, that you're not grieving the right way, you know, there are plenty of people who process their pain differently, and maybe they don't have a massive breakdown, and there's this idea, oh, well, maybe I'm just this monster who can't deal with it, you know, and people, no, everybody has a different way of dealing with grief. And yours is valid, and it's okay, and you should allow yourself to feel it. But there's the other side of it is that if you know someone who's dealing with grief, there are these questions of, you know, well, what do I do? What's the right thing to do? What's the right thing to say? How do I be there for somebody who's in that much pain? And the answer is be there. It doesn't matter. Don't worry about saying the wrong thing. Just be there. Because sometimes when you're dealing with that, it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to cheer them up. And honestly, when you're grieving and you're feeling that, we're not expecting you to cheer us up. But we just want somebody to be there. And it doesn't have to be in person, especially during COVID. It can be difficult, but we have each other. And making sure that you're in touch with those people can help ground you in ways that you're not necessarily going to understand right now. But it's worth doing, because the more you isolate yourself, the harder it's going to be to continue doing that. And there's a reason why we're building this community. We should be there for each other. We should have those friendships. We should have those relationships. And I hope that you take the time, both of you, to reach out to those people who are willing to listen, or just sit on the line and not even have to talk. It's okay.
Yeah, Eric and V, you guys are you've absolutely crushed it tonight. So thank you on all the levels, and I mean that. Like,
you know, Oz, it's almost like maybe they've done it before.
Once or twice. You think we've done this once or twice before? You think we've done this once or twice before? But Eric V, thank you so much for what you guys, what you've done tonight, what you've brought, and the insight that you guys have brought to our channel, the listeners, the viewers, and all of those things. And before we move into closing this out, again, how do they, our viewers and listeners, how do they find Eric? How do they find V?
Yeah. Well, as always, ACA, Secular Sexuality at 7 Central, Talk Heathen at 1 p.m. Central on Sundays. For me, you can find my YouTube channel at youtube.com/VRoseLaBianca. And I put out all of the speeches that I mentioned, especially the Creationism is Abuse speech is there. Aunt Jer, I saw you in the chat. I do a weekly live stream, C'est La Vie, on Thursdays before Secular Sexuality, where we talk about random subjects. We've talked about anxiety during the pandemic and, body issues and, why I am an activist and all of this. And then I do How to Skeptic, which is kind of epistemology-based research best practices for being an ethical person on the internet. If you're interested in possibly helping me continue to create this, I do have a Patreon as well, patreon.com/VLaBianca. I currently have a $350 Patreon goal set, and when I reach that, I'm doing a live stream where I introduce you all to my drag king persona. So if you're interested in that, go check that out.
Yeah, and we already listed Talk Heathen, which is what people know us mostly for. But I also have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/EricDMurphy, where I do a couple of things. I do Murphy's Law, where we go over calls and talk about
I'm on that too.
The subject matter and about how we could be better hosts, and we own up to screw-ups. And it is definitely an awesome tool and help for us, to do that. I also have long-form conversations with professional Christian apologists, and that is a ton of fun.
You did like a 3-part series with Randall Rouser.
Yeah, I did on the ontological argument. And Dr. Randall Rouser, a professor of whatever, he was a sweet guy. He was a sweet guy. I liked him. But other than that, I had a podcast, and I want to get back to it. It is called, and I still have the domain, and I want to get back to it, damn it. I just need to find the time in the schedule. I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/EricMurphy. Am wanting to move into doing this professionally, but I can't yet. And so every little bit helps, because I do want to go back to putting out more episodes. I do want to get back to doing my podcast. It's called The Atheist Podcast. Nobody had the name. It's amazing. If you go to theatheistpodcast.com, you'll see. I know, right? The Atheist Podcast.
What?
I know. Go to theatheistpodcast.com and you'll see my podcast. I also have atheistpodcast.com, which redirects. It's amazing.
I actually just went, Erica just actually went and bought both of them.
Yeah, wait, hold on. No, damn it, no. I still have it. I refreshed those domains last month. No, you did, you motherfucker.
You panicked there for a
I did because it's been a while since I put out that content. But actually, if you want a Book of Eric, and I don't have the Book of Eric yet, I do have merch for the Atheist Podcast because it's got some really cool logo, so you can check that out. But yeah, definitely patreon.com/Eric Murphy and all of that other good stuff. So yeah.
Right. If there's when you guys go to the description, if there's not, I went all through the interwebs. If there's something that's not in the description that you guys want on there, just send it to me via Twitter, and I'll make sure that's in the description for the episode. But I do have one last question that we talked about backstage before we depart tonight. So Eric and V, what calls, or what is the one singular call that stands out to you? And all the calls you've taken, what's the one that stands out that either made the biggest difference or was the most entertaining for you? You can pick.
Honestly, in recent times, because my very first episode ever was the first time that Kamal called in. And so to me, that's like a double whammy, because like Kamal's calls always like made my week, but also it was the very first episode I've ever been on. But actually, I really like Brandon in Arizona.
Yeah?
Like Brandon in Arizona, the one where he was trying to make his point with the 4 different kinds of earth that the seeds fall on.
Oh, yeah.
And I just kind of like, boom.
Yeah.
That was fun. Brandon is fun. So whenever Brandon calls, it's a good day.
Yeah, for sure. There are a lot of different episodes for different reasons that I really enjoy, but I definitely got a lot of a kick out of the Darth Dawkins calls. Darth called in to Talk Heathen way back in the early days, and we had no idea what was going on. And after that episode, I went to my university that I was going to, and I sat down with the philosophy department, and I was like, I don't know if I can learn all this shit. And so I spent months diving into presuppositional apologetics and what the transcendental argument is, and who this motherfucker is. And over a year later, he finally called back. And I was really, really proud of the way I handled that.
We do our research.
I got my first Darth call last week.
Eric, I will tell you, I've heard both, and you did. You handled it like a boss. And Just Jeff got his first call a week or two ago from Darth, and he beasted him, beasted him.
He won't call in to Talk Heathen when I'm hosting. He's called in when I wasn't hosting, but he's welcome. I'd be up for it again, but that's okay.
He just gets angry if you ask questions. So I was just like, could you explain that again? I don't understand. Could you please explain that again? Change his explanation. And then he got confused about where he was in his script, which was pretty entertaining. And then he hung up.
Yeah.
I see. He could not understand that he was on a show that wasn't his.
Gosh, right?
I know. It's like we ask a question. If you don't answer it, then you don't get the time on the show. Like you answer the question or you don't. But it was fun.
Oh, it's just another atheist call-in show. They're all the same.
Yeah. Ooh,
just T-Jump. Just like when T-Jump doesn't understand murder. Steve is in charge in the Murdershed.
Steve.
Oh, Hamish. Ooh, Hamish was good. I remember we lost power at the ACA, and Russell and I forget who else was hosting, and so they were having to vamp. And so I went and grabbed a microphone and was trying to take audience questions so that the Atheist Experience could do something, because they couldn't get any callers. And right at the end, I remember, we've got one more question. I just kind of hid around the corner. And I went, hello, Russell. Hello. And Russell was like, Hamish, are you in the building? And then we cut and ended the show. Hamish was a blast. Oh, we missed Hamish. We actually told the call screener not to take Hamish for a little while because people were getting sick of him, because he was calling every single week, and it was starting to turn into him trying to co-opt Talk Heathen for a bit.
Oh, God.
And so we were like, we're just going to take a break from Hamish for a little while, and he's never called back since, which is sad. But
poor Hamish.
We would talk to him again. It's just that, we're not going to have you on every single week. So.
Well, I think just Jeff was actually Hamish.
Oh,
there you go.
No.
I think Murdershed Steve is actually Tommy Benson.
They have no idea who Tommy Benson is.
Nope.
So,
sorry.
But Eric, thank you so much for taking time out of your week, your evening, to hang out with us knuckleheads, and that's really what we are. Just a bunch of knuckleheads that don't believe in a God. We appreciate spending time with us, hanging out with us. Before we sign off, is there anything that you would like to say to the listeners, the viewers tonight before we go?
Yes, tomorrow's election day. If you haven't voted, go vote.
Yep, I'm getting up super early. For those of you who follow my Twitter, if any of you do, you will know I've been battling for the last 2 weeks trying to get my voter registration recognized. And finally it happened, so I'm going super early tomorrow morning.
Yep, and I will be there with you, even though I already have. I got my sticker, and we're gonna get your sticker.
This is a fucking well-earned sticker.
Damn
Go get your sticker, you guys, for America.
Get that sticker. Get that sticker.
It's the most valuable free sticker you will ever earn.
Yep.
And Eric can be the listening to some of the stories or the episodes that you guys have had on the YouTubes that I've learned, I would actually another episode love to continue the conversation on deconversion and mental health and dig into that, because I think it is so valuable for those that are coming out of it to hear more of those stories, to know that they are not alone. Just like you weren't alone, I wasn't alone. Jeff wasn't alone. The others, they weren't by themselves. So, that being said, thank you, and for everybody's been in the chats, the comments, asking questions. We appreciate you hanging out to the round table tonight and talking heathen with us. We appreciate it, and we're going to start off tonight. It's the Atheist Roundtable.
Bye, everybody.
Wow.
And just before we go, thank you to Simply Secular, Canadian's Atheist in the chat, for making that cool video for Murdershed Steve earlier. That's the work of Simply Secular, so appreciate that. And thank you, Eric and V. Murdershed Steve, get off me! Quit tickling me, you son of a bitch!
You know you like it. Don't deny it.
Dude, is that a back check? What is that? That's not
It's
a
whatever you
chainsaw.
want it to be.
Oh,
Whatever you want it to be.
You naughty little murderer. You're a rascal.
Well, that's the only way to have fun.
You're like Ted Bundy. You're handsome, and you could kill me.
I'm more like Ted Fundy.
Oh, I'm a sucker for puns. Bye.